Welcome back to the RotoViz Report, Fantasy Football Report, inaugural show of the 2023 season. I'm joined, of course, by Hasan Rahim. How's it going, Hasan?
Living the dream. Apologies to the visual listeners here. For those of you who don't know, I've got a pretty severely herniated disc, and I can't sit and I can't walk. But we're here. We're gonna grit through the pain. I don't think I've had enough painkillers to see through time, but I've had enough to where we're doing okay. But yeah, we haven't had any time to strategize. We're just gonna raw dog this draft, and we hope you guys are here to enjoy it, and we hope the audio listeners have a good time. What do you think, Blair?
Yeah, it sounds good. We are off to the races here. In fact, we are now on the clock. We got the 106. We have our choice of all the options we expected to come back. I think one thing we had talked about was how Cooper Kupp is not in the cards. We're not in the not under consideration here anymore. I do want to talk more about his situation after we make this pick, but we discussed kind of two names, which were Garrett Wilson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So which way are you leaning?
I'm still definitely leaning on Amon-Ra St. Brown. The only real deviation I'd consider here would be Eckler, but I have really no interest. I think really wide receiver just feels so thin, so gets so thin so quickly that I kind of really want Amon-Ra St. Brown over here and just hope the guys at the back of the draft are just not. They might let Wilson come back to us, but for what it's worth, we've got to pimp your ME team, your ME article. You got the five horsemen. The four of them being these guys, and the fifth one being dragged around in an ambulance is me. But we've got Garrett Wilson on that team, so I'm fairly happy diversifying a little bit here. And I think ARSB gives us a bit of a statement pick. I think I kind of like him quite a bit. I know Ben Gretsch, friend of ours, has been aggressively moving him up the ranks, and I'm really just sort of a fan of where we're looking at with ARSB.
Yes, the four horsemen, and then the one horseman in a horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah, exactly. We're having a good time. But yeah, so what were your thoughts here just in terms of Amon-Ra? Is this too aggressive for him in your opinion? Do you think we're really breaking structure? Like, would you have gone like if you would you have preferred Bijan at what, like, as a second RB off the board here almost seems dumb, right?
I do like Bijan, but I think the play Wilson was the other guy we talked about. I think both of those guys make sense here, even though it's kind of aggressive for both of them. But yeah, St. Brown locks up.
Oh, there goes Bijan as a 1 or 2, as a RB2. One thing I will say, Blair, though, with
he's NFL in catches this year, I think that wouldn't be a surprise to anyone for that to happen.
No, I don't think it would either.
Even with Jameson Williams coming back halfway through the season, I still think you're happy with that Amon-Ra St. Brown pick, even at 106.
I'm actually fairly bearish now on Jameson Williams, frankly. Like, I just don't. You know what I mean? Like, I'm getting, like, it just hasn't been one of those off seasons where you feel like he's really it, right? Like, he could, like, it feels like he's one of those black box prospects now, but in trending in the wrong direction, right? Like I think the fact that he looked and flashed impressively last year, but that now, it's the gambling thing is stupid, but now dealing with multiple hammy issues, you're kind of looking at questionable conditioning, right? And I really think that, like, from that perspective, like, I really don't think that Jameson Williams is going to be that big of as big of a concern as others think. Oh, there goes Garrett Wilson. That CeeDee Lamb Garrett Wilson start's pretty nice.
Yeah, that's a nice start from the 111. Getting Wilson at 202, and we're happily taking him at 106 if we did this draft in another time, maybe. Cooper Kupp.
Oh, that is aggressive. I mean, that's just aggressive on Cooper Kupp. I mean,
I think so. It now seems almost certain that he's going to miss week 1. and seems like lingering hamstring issues are never a good thing. Where would you be comfortable drafting him now that
Uh,
things look so pessimistic?
I mean, I've always kind of not really. I haven't really been drafting him much this offseason anyway. And so, like, I think for me, it's just going to be late. Like Cooper Cup's a guy I'm always going to kind of miss on, if only because, like, I don't know, man. Like I've just not. To me, it's just difficult to look at, like, people say like, oh, this was like the number one wide receiver in the NFL, and they just sort of extrapolate it out again, as a repeat performance when there's enough headwinds against him that really suggests that a more fragile situation, right? Like Matt Stafford takes a couple of bad hits and he's out, right? Teams decide to just sort of clamp down on him and it's over, right? Like it's not that I'm like, I think that there's just enough that to me that, like, I just thought it was a bit of I think it's such a clear chair break after Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, that you can talk yourself into Cup. But I also think that there's enough risk there that, like, I don't need to, like, be jamming Cup anywhere, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that is insanely aggressive on Josh Jacobs. Like that,
yes, the drafter at 107 gives us a gift by taking Jacobs, leaving maybe it's a gift, but we kind of have a choice between, I would say, Mark Andrews and Jalen Waddle are the two guys we're probably most interested in here.
Yeah, this is the one. This is the good question, right? Like, this is the one that I'm going to leave to you because I actually am interested in Andrews here. Don't you think?
Yeah, I have been drafting Waddle at this spot more often, so I'm very happy to get a share of Mark Andrews right here.
Yeah, I think just putting in Andrews here and then just sort of calling it would be nice, right? Like, I think that once you're done for tight, because then you're done for tight end, right? You don't have to worry too much. I think that there's enough there's enough going on that suggests that people have been burned by Mark Andrews last year, and he should have been going much earlier than this, right? Like like last year, Lamar sat out, Mark Andrews got hurt. And now we're looking at a team that's potentially, you tell me, they're talking a little bit about playing base up too, right? Like, yeah, it's not a particularly big buy, but when you're looking at the tight end one on a team where they're going to play base up, I'm really into it. Pat Kerrane wrote a lot about how Mark Andrews could be the TE1 and just sort of the cheat code that you really need, especially even in TE premium. So, like, I'm just having, like, I don't know, like, I felt like that was a nice dealer's choice because I didn't think that we'd have that opportunity. I thought, like, Andrews was going to be gone, but that Josh Jacobs pick really threw me for a loop.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise. Not a ton of other surprises so far this draft. I've seen in some other drafts people get really aggressive with their guys, but this one, apart from that Jacobs pick, it's been more or less as you expected. I guess Cup there, he was probably the top guy by ADP on the board, but still seems aggressive given his situation.
I don't think people have I just don't think they can get off Cup at this point, right? Because there's someone who's always going to like him a lot more. This injury news hasn't really allowed for it to come out, and then you can spin it however you feel like spinning it, right? Yeah. So I think it just sort of comes down to your own comfort level and your own preference and how you're structuring teams.
Assuming he's out for more than just 1 week and misses, it turns out that we get news he's going to miss several weeks or something. Is there anyone in that offense that you're looking to draft late instead?
Tyler Higbee probably in tight end premium. Everybody else can go to hell.
I saw some news today that oh man, I gotta pull it up because I'm gonna miss.
Is it Puka Nakua?
Yeah, is it him? Is he the guy?
Is he the guy? I mean, how tall is he? I always forget. I keep thinking he's 5'4", but I could have made that up.
You're confusing him with Tutu Atwell, probably.
Yeah.
They're both on the Rams, right?
Yeah, Puka Nakua is 6'2". All right, so he's a 6'2" guy. All right.
He's a 6'2" guy. He's he came from one of those offenses that's really slow, big. Was it Hawaii?
Hawaii. That's the name. Yep.
University of Hawaii, where it's a low volume offense, so he generated an insane kind of market share, but on not great production. And that's not a profile that we've usually seen succeed in the NFL. So
Yeah.
so I'm skeptical from that perspective. But I mean,
I actually wanted to get your thoughts, Blair, on like the RB ADPs in this room. So for the audio listeners, it's CMC went RB1, then it was Bijan RB2, then it went Eckler, Chubb ahead of everybody else, then Saquon Barkley, then Tony Pollard, then Josh Jacobs, then Jahmyr Gibbs. So I really wanted to get your thoughts here because it feels like there's actually some good RB talent. Well, it seems like people are fading Derrick Henry here, which is interesting to me. But there's still other there's still other RB talent out there like Ramondre Stevenson. I guess with JT's contract situation and the Colts cutting off their nose to spite their face, it makes sense. But this is a bit wild.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. I mean, I think this is, the Jacobs pick really is a little bit baffling, and Gibbs has been getting more expensive. I would actually have him ranked ahead of Jacobs and probably ahead of Pollard and Chubb even. But I'm kind of maybe I'm a minority in that regard. But I think Henry, you always are expecting some regression in terms of his efficiency, and for the most part, he delivers, but I'm also pretty high on Tyjae Spears this year. So I'm not drafting really any Henry. And even at 3-2, I don't think I would be interested.
Yeah, I think I've taken some Henry in best ball, but I've got no interest in him in manage. He's just a guy, it's just a guy I'm just going to keep missing out on. And I don't, if he burns me, he burns me, right? Like such is life. And we're still here.
Yeah.
But I think you and I both have one player in mind that we want here if he falls to us, and
he's been falling a lot.
He's been falling all the time, and we're just gonna walk out of here.
I sure hope Joe Mixon stays on the board.
I know, but I did want to get your take here on Hawkinson because it felt like There goes our guy, T. Higgins.
That was the guy.
That we wanted. Now we're scrambling.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some options. We've got Ramondre, Keenan Allen, Debo. We could go QB with
I don't know if you want to go QB.
Allen.
I don't think you want to go. I have no interest in Josh Allen at QB here.
We could go Lamar. He probably won't get back. That's a little bit aggressive, but I mean, with that Andrews stack, yeah. I'm thinking it's got to be one of Keenan, Debo, or Ramondre. So who's your preference out of those?
I think I might actually take Debo here, if only because I think Debo might actually still be the guy who tends to be gets a lot more versatile usage, right? So I think you're going to get a little bit of those jet sweeps. You're still going to get some rushing production out of him. I know we're all fairly aggressive and optimistic on Ayuk, but I think this is a pretty good, a good chance for us to buy into Debo here. I think it also, from an injury perspective, Keenan Allen had some soft tissue stuff last year. I'm very optimistic Keenan Allen does well. I've been taking both of them, but I kind of like Debo a little bit more and managed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I've been, I've had them kind of right at the same spot in my ranks for most of the offseason. But I do see kind of the upside case for Debo a little bit more clearly. And maybe that's because I'm also pretty high on Quentin Johnston, but on the other hand, I'm pretty high on Ayuk and other guys in the San Francisco offense. So yeah, it's tricky. I mean, Allen, of course, is still performing, even though he's probably 29 years old.
Yeah, I mean,
so you always have some age cliff concerns there, but
yeah, I mean, age cliff concerns. I mean, look at myself, right? Fucking, I'm completely done. My back, yeah, my back's
for you, man.
My back's completely dust. But But yeah, no, I think the thing with like what's interesting to me about like Keenan is he does keep delivering, right? Like we had one or two options. I don't think either was a bad pick here. I do like Debo, and I think the reason I wanted Debo more so is because I think you and I are gonna both try and jam QJ in anyway. So at that point, I don't want to be all in on the Chargers, is because I know what our later board looks like. I already have a feeling for it. So it is getting a different texture for this, or at least on the early parts. And for those of you who want to get a sneak peek at what the later part of the board looks like, just check out Blair's work on our main event team. We're doing a slow, and it's been fun.
Yeah, I should have those articles covering the later rounds up tomorrow. So
Yeah, because the
watch
other
out for
guy I
that.
wanted to get, the guy I wanted to get your take instead of Debo here was DK Metcalf, right? Because this is
Metcalf is Metcalf is out for me, especially here. If he falls,
right.
maybe I have some interest, but I'm not drafting him in the third.
Yeah, so I'm having. I mean, so there he goes. But like, I'm having this weird. So I think this is like almost like a prove it season for Metcalf a little bit, right? In that were the productivity slappies right all along, right? Like we're like, because like part of what made AJ Brown so good was I think the guy just kept delivering with or without Metcalf, right? Like with him on the field. And like if you go back to the arguments, people were saying, "Oh, he wasn't that good with Metcalf," and it was like, no, I mean, he wasn't just that good. Like he lapped the field with Metcalf, right?
Yeah.
And even when Metcalf was on the field, and so then the question is like, well, Metcalf still blew up. Then he had kind of a bit of a down sophomore season, now going into his third year. If he just sort of, if he continues to see targets to Tyler Lockett and then also gets his lunch eaten by JSN, right? Then you all of a sudden you're looking at a dynasty asset that's lost a lot of value. You're looking at someone who is overdrafted, right? Like it's a very fragile position to be taking him.
For sure. And I do actually think there are worlds where JSN can break out and Metcalf still retains some value, still has a good enough
Yeah,
season that he's a valuable asset. I don't think that it's going to be easy for him to return in the third if JSN is as good as we're expecting.
yeah. That's the thing. That's where it's got. Like that's where I really think the conversation for us really was Debo versus Keenan there, right? Because like I did not like Mike Williams where he went. And for the audio
Oh yeah.
listeners, that's like right at the end of the third. That was a good. And
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson goes at the 402. Because that was someone I was about to ask you about. Like, do you have any interest in Stevenson? Do you have any interest in ETN if he comes back here?
I definitely have interest in ETN if he comes back. I would have been happy to take Stevenson at 306 if
At
we wanted to go
306,
that
right?
route.
Yeah.
There are a couple running backs who, if they come back, are pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, there's like because we are like what I do like about this year, at least the way everything sets up is after you were able to adjust to the initial shock and awe of this, these wide receiver heavy drafts, it really sort of forces you to think a little bit more laterally about the position itself, what you're doing with your structure. There goes ETN. That was painful. And then it gives you the ability to think about who or what you want to be doing with some of the other spots, particularly running back, especially for guys like us who have, to a fault, really just sort of bunted off running back just to get in more wide receiver upside, whether that's hypothetical or real.
It's an interesting season where my favorite picks in many of these early rounds are running backs.
Yeah. Just because they go so late.
Yeah.
And they all have.
A lot of them have some legitimate concerns, like they're coming back from injuries.
Or they have a crackhead for an NFL owner.
Yeah. Or they're currently injured.
Oh yeah, they're currently injured. That's someone who I'm definitely interested in, but not necessarily. Do you think you'll fall back to us or? Okay, so just for the audio listeners here, we just saw Damian Pierce scored 405 as the RB12.
Yeah. Lost our guy Mixon. No kidding. So obviously Breece Hall is in consideration here. Is there anyone else we should be looking at? Drake London is not going to come back.
Drake London's not coming back. The only question is, do you want Lamar here at all?
Oh yeah, Lamar actually is a value by ADP.
Yeah, or do we just?
And I have Brees on a lot of teams. Lamar's kind of tempting. What do you think?
It does make it tempting though, right? Like this, like the issue, like we just saw in the main event how big of an advantage you can get by pushing quarterback.
Right.
So this is a question I'll leave for you is right because if we just go with Lamar, then we're done. We're done at quarterback. We're done at tight end, right? And then we're gonna have to hit everything else. I do think Brees comes back to us.
All right. I mean, I'm willing to play that game. I'd be Brees over Lamar, but it is pretty tempting here. So let's, on this team with Andrews already, let's get Lamar. Lock that one up.
Yeah,
if Brees does come back, that's ideal. I don't think he will, but I also have Brees on a lot of teams, so I'm not, good to diversify a little, perhaps.
Yeah, I saw index suspension mentioned Fields later, so I'm hoping that our pick here with Lamar panic forces one of these guys into a Fields pick, right? Because I think the one issue this year with like I think it really is like the elevated Law, of course, Lamar was the pick. Yeah, well, it was between him or Brees, brother. So.
Lamar was definitely the value. I mean,
he was
in Fantasy Pros drafts over the last 24 hours or so, he's going at the beginning of the fourth. So good value on him here. I'm definitely happy with Lamar on a Mark Andrews team. I mean, I don't think it would have been wrong to go Brees there. He's got RB1 upside overall.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, in our main event, obviously we're very highly invested in the Jets offense if they fail, which is pretty possible. I mean, Rodgers wasn't that good last year. To expect.
Well, I mean,
better.
Yeah, but like Green Bay itself wasn't particularly great last year. Yeah, there goes Drake London. That was what you were saying.
Yeah.
That the guy who's coming out of the 104 is building a pretty sweet RotoVizian team, and Hill, Waddle, Hawkinson, Drake London. That's it. I mean,
that team.
That is a good team.
Yeah.
There's some other really good starts, right? Like there's like CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Keenan Allen, Ramondre Stevenson. That's nice. Nick Chubb, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore. Like a lot of these teams in the early goings always seem nice. It's just when you get through like the actual middle rounds, that's when the rubber really hits the road. And I'm really
gonna see how they fill him out. I mean, this team in the one slot could end up with a pretty nice draft if he makes the right picks here. That could be pretty interesting.
That could be an interesting one. I do think that you and I are kind of aligned in who we want in terms of in the fifth round. But in the event that he doesn't come back, is there anybody else who you want to start thinking about, like wide receiver targets that we might have at all?
So,
or is there, or oh god, I hate bringing this up, but like going all in on like the Ravens, like with the Dobbins, that would just suck though. That feels bad just to put it out there, right?
To be so,
this is so because
so much on the Ravens, that's tough. I mean, the Ravens could obviously be a team that puts up a ton of points, and you could have Andrews and Lamar scoring a lot, and still Dobbins getting those touchdowns. But it does feel like Andrews and Dobbins on the same team.
But then we're also going to have Justin Tucker, right? Like then we're going to have like 4 Ravens, right? Like what are we doing here? Deontay Johnson goes at the end of the fourth. That's an interesting pick because that's sort of, I would have expected him to have been there on the way back for us.
It's a little earlier than where he's been going. Pitts, that's earlier than where he's been going.
That's actually also that's a pretty aggressive statement pick there for. It's not too much in the Ravens. I would not stop there though. Machir. That's a good point. That's an interesting. That's a pretty aggressive Kyle Pitts pick as well.
Yeah. So I think Well, it doesn't seem maybe optimal to do a Debo Ayuk team, right?
I wouldn't necessarily say that that's not optimal. I would say what would be interesting is if we don't get Brees, would you be like, do you prefer Pickens to Ayuk or no?
Um, I have them pretty close.
Yeah,
The thing is that I do think Pickens probably gets back to us in the sixth.
you think so? Hmm.
Maybe not. I mean, his ADP is right at 607 over the last 24 hours or so. We're gonna have probably some interesting options at well, there are a few names at running back that are interesting too here.
There's a lot of names at running back. I mean that's sort of the issue, right? Is that like there's like you start getting into these ranges that where you just don't want to stop picking running backs, and we just went through that in the main event
Yeah.
where we literally couldn't not pick these RBs. Like and if we were taking wide receiver when realistically had we could have still taking oh that's a
There
good
you
one.
go.
Thank you for letting us know.
Now, did the other guy who did it have a chance, have a shot at Brees Hall in the fifth? Probably
Yeah,
not.
that's Justin Herbert. Please take Fields.
This
Please
guy
take
can't
Fields.
take
Please take
Hall.
Fields. Please take
He's already
Fields.
got McCaffrey and
I
Harris.
know. Please take Fields. Because I mean, this is it. Like we just have to take Hall. No, please don't take Brees.
If he makes it.
Please take Justin Fields, bro.
If not, we can talk Kenneth Walker. We can
Kenneth
talk
Walker.
We can talk Ayuk,
Ayuk.
Kittle, even
Kittle.
though we already have a tight end.
I think yeah. I think I would be out on Kittle here because he's dealing with like a couple of groin injuries and he's just sort of very streaky. It took him. It like he didn't come on last year. Like, he didn't come on until Debo was completely out of the picture.
Right.
Like him and Ayuk are really going to be battling it out in terms of who needs to get points. I think Debo's going to get his, CMC's going to get his,
Ooh, baby.
Trevor Lawrence, and that gives
There
us
it
Brees Hall.
is.
There it is.
I mean, this is a run to the podium kind of pick.
Yeah,
right?
this is like, I mean, yeah.
So Brees Hall in the fifth is pretty crazy, and when we were willing to take him in the fourth,
yeah. Any interest in JT in the seventh?
I mean,
what
there?
Like chat, what are you guys doing with JT? Because he is just suddenly rocketing up my like best ball exposures because I'm getting him so late now.
Yeah, even if you account for those
and the other one didn't take Brees. So
there we go. Even if you account for those 4 missed games, you're still getting Jonathan Taylor for
Yeah, it's just
quarters of the season.
And we're building our team out knowing that we're not. I mean, we know Brees Hall is not going to be 100%. We know the risk we're running. And so now we know that we need to be a little bit more aggressive on early season running backs to get the bridge to our star running backs.
Where it becomes difficult, I think, is making the decision to take Taylor instead of a guy like Pickens or a guy like JSN.
Yeah, that gets done. That's to me, that's very difficult, right? Because I guess the question is how much. Because like then the question is how much risk do you want to pile on to your team, right? Like how much Brees Hall plus JT do you want to pile on to a team, right? Because in these tournaments, the risk of starting slow and really being in the hole. I mean, it happens to us quite often, more than a lot, to where we're always like sitting at that 1-3 or 0-4 or even 2-2 positions. But we build our team to be a strength down the stretch. It's just it doesn't necessarily work that way all the time, and it would suck to unnecessarily take that kind of double risk. Yeah, I agree with you.
So Taylor's going in the last, 2 days or so. He's going at 6'11" in Fantasy Pros draft. So I don't think I'm comfortable taking him in the sixth here. But if he does fall to us at 706, I'd be a little more interested.
Yeah, we can be. An index of suspension mentioned this, but he said 7th as well. So just for the audio listeners, the 5th round, we can cap this off. This has been an interesting one. Not one. We're still waiting on the last pick, but it started at 501 with Kyle Pitts, then Joe Burrow, then Javonte Williams, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Breece Hall goes to us. Then it goes George Kittle at 507. Alexander Madison goes to a team with Bijan Robinson, Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, and Damian Pierce. Dallas Goedert comes in after that. Then Justin Fields goes to the Nick Chubb, AJ Brown, DK Metcalf, DJ Moore team. Kenneth Walker goes to a team I'm really starting to like. And Rashad White goes at the end of the 5th. The end of the 5th round is interesting because not one wide receiver was taken. And then Pat Freiermuth goes right at the turn. So I wanted to get your thoughts there, Blair. The CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Keenan Allen, Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Walker team are they a RotoViz subscriber? There goes J.K. Dobbins. Oh, okay, they're definitely a RotoViz subscriber. either they're if you guys had better backs, I take 7th JT, now 8th for you guys. Yeah, I'm not sure you're right. That's kind of where we're leaning. We need to figure that part out. So the team at 111 either is a RotoViz subscriber, or a Season Signal subscriber, or a Leg Up subscriber, or is in the Ship Chasing Discord. That's a really nice team.
I do like that team. We'll see how they fill it out, but
that's
Lamb,
nice
Wilson,
team.
Allen start, and then 3 good high upside running backs that I'm happy to draft at those prices.
Crazy values. That's a really
team.
nice team. Yeah, and I like how aggressive they were in Dobbins there. That was one that we were considering. So I think this does bring us back to our wide receiver discussion here.
I mean, some of the guys we were considering in the 5th are still there.
Yeah, and I think that's who we're going to be considering.
At this point, we do have to kind of decide between Ayuk, Pickens, Dotson, because we can't get all 3.
Yeah, I think
I can't even get 2 of them.
Yeah, I think I'd happily take Pickens above the other 2.
I'm good with that.
I don't know if that's something that you would agree with, but I do think that there's a lot of so I mean, full disclosure, I was drafting a ton of Kenny Pickett. I was telling everyone everywhere to just take Kenny Pickett as like his QB 24-25 price. And now, only now has his ADP started to rise. So I think I am pretty optimistic on Pickens as a player. Dotson, I'm still okay with, but I think I would prefer Pickens, if only because we've seen Pickett have a year of NFL production under his belt, whereas Howell still remains question mark there.
Yeah, that's true. I guess the other thing to consider is how much the Terry McLaurin injury changes your outlook for Dotson. Does it move him up significantly?
I think it does as a short-term thing, but I'm not too concerned about it in the long run, if that makes sense. Right? Because this whole question is Sam Howell good? And we believe he's good, right?
Well,
I mean, that's the end of that discussion. Seconds goes. That was a pretty good, they made a couple of pretty tough picks in a row, and then they get Pickens. It's brutal. So I guess this puts us in, and there goes Dotson.
I guess it's Ayuk, or the guy who's a value here is Godwin.
Oh man, I leave that up to you. I think I'm ambivalent between the 2.
When you have Debo already on the team, does that push you more toward Godwin to get that little bit of, kind of mitigate the risk there?
Yeah, I guess so. Or at least spread out our points, right? Like we're not going all in on Brock Purdy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's tough to say. I mean, you can see scenarios where one of Debo or Ayuk is great and the other one doesn't have the volume, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that pushes toward Godwin.
That probably pushes us towards Godwin. Yeah.
All right. We'll do Godwin. And then we immediately go, ugh.
Yeah. It's just because Godwin's not a fun, sexy-ish pick there, right? But he is the right pick.
See, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's like a very much eat your broccoli type situation, right?
I mean, I do think there are scenarios where Godwin can come out and kind of replicate what he did a couple years ago and put up almost 300 points.
Yeah, I almost wonder if we should have just taken Ayuk and said screw it.
Yeah.
I think you and I are hoping for the exact same guy to come back, so I'm not going to even say his name.
I think that
Uh,
Ayuk has more risk, and Godwin and
yeah,
Ayuk have fairly similar upside. So from that
yeah,
perspective, Godwin is the pick. But I know what you
yeah.
mean. He doesn't quite seem as fun.
Yeah, I mean the whole reason it does give me pause is for a while back when I was writing for Roto World, one of the things that gave me pause was uh, when one guy went off, like when Ayuk was going off, Kittle didn't go off. When Kittle was going off, Ayuk didn't go off, and at the same time, Debo was nowhere to be found. Right, like, there was no Debo in the situation. It's very much a one player type situation and you're kind of playing whack-a-mole, and for us to have both those guys, and it's like you're either accepting that Brock Purdy can essentially carry a couple of with CMC, keep in mind, can feed these guys enough to where you're looking at a potential top 24 outing each week for both of them.
Yeah.
Or you're looking at a situation where you're essentially accepting you don't know which one to play and one is going to dud regardless, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming at with the Godwin thing. But yeah, I see what you mean, because I mean, even again, this is the team that we were praising: the 1-4, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Hawkinson, London, Herbert, Ayuk. So that's a pretty solid team.
Yeah, I like that team as well. I was just thinking, that's a good squad. That's one that we'll want to watch out for, sniping us on Johnson, maybe.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to get your take here on James Cook, by the way. I'm liking
Yeah,
his price.
James Cook is a pick I like at 603. I think you could
Yeah.
even make a case for him in the fifth, like around where, I mean, I'd take him ahead of Madison, for instance.
Oh, for sure. I'm really heavily invested in fading him. I mean, I think Madison I've got like 0%.
Yeah.
That's across like 300 teams.
Yeah.
So I've made a pretty big stand there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I
Um,
definitely like James Cook this year. I think that team that got a pretty good price on him isn't too bad. Those aren't the wide receivers I would have probably picked there, and obviously that's not my
yeah,
preferred round one selection. But the structure he's putting together looks like it has potential. Although he just has picked all the wrong players for it, except for AJ Brown.
yeah, I know. It is fun. Well,
Ooh, Zay Flowers. That's aggressive.
that's aggressive on Zay Flowers. Flowers just went a wide receiver 32.
Yeah, to the 101 drafter who also has Jefferson, Gibbs, Hurts, Deontay Johnson, Kyle Pitts, Cam Akers.
So that's the thing. I just haven't noticed Cam Akers going ever.
You like block him out of your
It just
field of
it's
vision.
it's just been, but it's also worked, right? Like Cam Akers is not it, dog. All right, so actually, here's someone that we probably got to talk about when it comes around to us. Is well, even now we could probably talk about it ahead of time. What we're doing with Jerry Judy?
I put him in the queue because I do think this is about the range where you can start to consider him.
Yeah, I think there's three guys who I'm really into here, and one is a running back, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean DeAndre Swift would be the only running back I'd consider here, right?
Swift is definitely in consideration here. I think you can also
I
make a
think
case for
Swift.
Taylor here
I
since
think
he
Swift, yeah,
hasn't gone
or
yet.
Taylor, yeah. But like I do think that Macher says the right thing with JT eighth for us. I think Swift is actually going to go to this team at 704. I have just a weird feeling. So this is where I think that we're going to have to make a decision on Jerry Judy versus JSN, right?
Yeah. And I mean, for me,
I think I might be Judy, man.
oh really? I was gonna
Yeah.
say I might be JSN over even a healthy Judy. So
That's it. So what gives you pause on Judy relative to is it just the hammy? Just that is really the big concern there for you?
wow, hey,
There we go.
good call.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that's a big concern. I mean, obviously he's going to miss some time early, but we know that these types of injuries that he has a history with, that
Yeah,
these
the
types
soft
of
tissue,
injuries tend
right?
to linger. So I kind of am expecting that he is probably going to miss more time than what's being reported right now. So from that perspective, I think you have to get a good price on him. And the seventh is fine, but not great. Like he's going at 705, so you'd like to
Uh,
even do better than that. So
this is really late for Christian Kirk. That is a massive value on Christian Kirk.
that's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So then let's just go JSN then.
All right. I mean, there's also Taylor here, so I think it's between one of those three: Taylor, JSN, Judy. Obviously, the two fallers are falling for a reason, and they might both continue to fall. There's a chance one of them gets back to us. JSN seems to be fully healthy even after that surgery and is probably going to play week 1. So I don't really have any concerns there. I'm just loading up on, after the discount. So,
yeah, I think we just go JSN and then see what happens, right?
yeah, I like that.
Um,
JSN is the guy we'd be most bummed if he went before we got back at 807.
We had because I mean like Sean has Jerry Judy as a target now at this new ADP, right?
Right.
Which is in this 66 to 67, like 68 to like 72-ish range, right?
Yeah, like late 6th.
Yeah, so that's what got me in just kicking around Jerry Judy because I've got a lot of him at a much higher ADP. So now it's like I don't want to necessarily double down, but I want to double down where we've got him at a value, right? That was where I was interested. I am interested in him, right? But now you're looking at superstars with major blemishes, right? So Judy again, injury issue, JT injury issue. I did like Sean's note on JT, which was just kill me. That's how I feel too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that's where it gets interesting to me is again because now we're entering the range where we've got some of our target running backs that we might want to consider, right? So we've got some of our target or our priority RBs, right? And I'm gonna start dropping them here in the chat, just in case others are,
I think I probably can guess who you're talking about. One of them is probably not on my my radar this
one's
early.
probably it's still a little early, but like the good thing about us having had punted running back for so long is, at least what makes it interesting to me is I don't know how many other teams can truly justify continuing to load up at the position, right? Like the team out of the 104, again, and to get for the audio listeners, it's Hill, Waddle, Hawkinson, London, Herbert, Ayuk, took Swift as like their RB1. So this is like a pure play zero RB team. And that they've got your elite tight end, they've got an elite quarterback, they've got the highest upside running back, right? And for us, we're sitting with Breece Hall as our only running back, which I'm happy with. Yeah. So we can still push. There's still a lot of like startable running backs, and it's a question of how much do we want to push.
Yeah, I agree. Can you see the queue?
I cannot because FFPC hates me. But let me actually check my phone. It might be on my phone, so I apologize for the.
Do you have my? Is it like you don't know your password?
Yeah, it's just I'm a horrible boomer. I have become he who I've hated. Yeah, this is pretty much what I was thinking.
You don't have a password manager?
I don't. Well, I had. Although I am curious, what has you in on Brandon Cooks here?
That was a misclick.
Oh, that's a misclick.
He's gone.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think that there's a guy that we could add. I'll just add him to the queue.
I'm going to add one to the queue as well.
But I don't think that I would be interested in taking him here. Maybe in the next round.
In the next round. Is it a running back?
Yeah, the guy that I just added.
Okay, yeah, is it Zach Charbonnet?
No.
Oh, there goes. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the team that started at 111, Boomer in
Whoa.
charge. Boomer in charge of SC waivers. God help us. Yeah. So this is an interesting, really interesting turn for this team. They went CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Keenan Allen, Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Walker, J.K. Dobbins, and then David Montgomery and Jonathan Taylor. Like they just went all full hog into the running back rope-a-dope.
Yeah, that's not the way I would have played that. I
don't
don't
think
hate
so.
Taylor at that price, but Montgomery makes no sense there.
Yeah, Montgomery makes no sense. So, like, could someone explain to me what I'm missing on Zach Charbonnet? He's one of my most rostered, like, best ball running backs, but he seems to be, like, priced flat this whole, like, offseason. Like, I have no idea what others are doing with him. I think that we're going to have to...
Yeah, I don't think... I mean, yeah, Charbonnet is kind of a...
I mean, not here. Not here. I think he should be a 9th rounder, right?
Right, for sure. Judy would have been fun if he made it back to us.
Yeah.
I mean,
Team 11
it's tough because I am pretty high on Kenneth Walker this season. So
see, I'm not, right? Like after the initial like incredibly efficient burst, and I think part of it is probably like this is where I need you to talk me back into him. Is I made a lot of money just printing the shit out of fading his efficiency for starters. This fading his props, his under rushes, under touches. Like he just wasn't getting it done after that initial burst.
Yeah.
And he just seemed to never could ever get that back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any of his numbers pulled up in front of me, but he was pretty efficient for most of the season, as I recall.
He was until
he was catching more passes than we expected.
But they also went out and took Zach Charbonnet, right? Yeah, exactly. So there goes like there goes Jerry Judy, there goes Cortland Sutton. I think for us, so do we go QJ here or do we go Traylon Burks?
Yeah, we're not going to get both of them.
Yeah, so we got to take one.
If we want both of them, we got to take one here.
I'm thinking QJ. I'm thinking QJ,
right? Let me see.
Or think about it.
I mean, Burks is going a little bit earlier, but
Sean.
But I'm okay with either.
The reason I'm interested in QJ is because we could. I mean, we could potentially have like. Okay, so we're still discussing QJ versus Burks, right? Like, yeah. I think QJ just I don't know, man.
I think you could make a case for a running back here, but if we want both Burks and Johnson, and we only have 4 wide receivers so far, so I don't.
Yeah, this is where it gets tough going with the early quarterback, right? Yeah, so like the
detours.
Yeah, so like the.
I think Johnson is more likely to come back.
You think QJ is likely to come back? So who do you want in terms of running back?
Well, actually, that guy at 8 might take QJ.
Yeah, he's gonna take QJ. So I think we take QJ, dude.
All right, let's do it. Oops, not Mike Evans.
No.
He is the value by ADP, but there's some weird stuff going on there, so best to avoid that. Especially on a team with Godwin.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I think 9th round could be Charbonnet for us if he falls.
9th round could be Charbonnet. If Burks falls back to us, which
then it's Burks,
pretty close to where his ADP is, then he's interesting. I think you could make a case for Brian Robinson there.
Brian Robinson's another one that I'm definitely interested in.
And Herbert is kind of a value there.
Yeah, Khalil Herbert is. Yeah, so I think we're on the same vibe with these running backs for sure. Yeah, Jalen Warren, Samaje Perine. Like this is kind of like the range of just guys who you just sort of want.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like this is like, and then eventually we're gonna have to discuss Devin Achane and Raheem Mostert and the other guys, right? But like none of these guys, like this isn't the time for us to consider them right now in the early rounds because we still need to. We're still thin at wide receiver, right? The only detour I'd consider here is Charbonnet. That's the only one I'd consider in the 9th, I think. Well, him or one Why would 7 take QB? Top 6 at QB. It could have probably had Watson in the 9th. Yeah, that's a good point, Machir. That's really just them probably not knowing what they needed to do. I think they just sort of panicked and sort of took. There you go. That guy took Khalil Herbert.
I would say that. I mean, yeah, that team is not like taking ADP values. They do have Cooper, so I guess they were worried
About
I
the
don't know.
stack, but yes, but I mean, like
they're just
he's
not
correct. I mean, like, but Machir is correct in that everybody else has an early quarterback. So
Right.
why would
Nobody else was going to take
right?
Watson.
Yeah. That's actually and the team at the 104, the ones who we think are idealistic brethren with us somewhere along the line, they did take Khalil Herbert, someone who we just discussed.
Yep.
I think the whole reason I think where Charbonnet for me is interesting is because I think he might be like the big blind spot in terms of everybody from our circle, or at least how we think. But he's going in a range where it's unexciting, but he also profiles as a perfect back who could potentially take over if Kenneth Walker misses time, right? Like, just a tough scene draft all around, though. I mean, it was a tough draft night. We're gonna need to get just a few more wide receivers in, man. Like, hopefully we got Burks. Where are you at on Mims?
I mean, on Mims.
Mims is like
obviously, but
yeah, he's like the 11th round priority for like Sean. I was taking him. I was taking him the 16th, 17th, 18th all off season. Man, it's so hard adjusting him and like all these guys just having to adjust to this new reality has sucked. Oh, there goes Brian Robinson for us. So we got just hosed there.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I guess Charbonnet now, after Robinson is off the board, is the top running back on my board.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charbonnet is interesting. I think his kind of prospect profile it's not exactly what you hope to see, in the sense that he didn't quite have the early career production. But yeah, he's definitely an interesting guy, and hopefully, I don't know what I'm hoping for with Seattle using their running backs, but I
mean, they only have two. They do only really have two.
Yeah, that's true. And if Charbonnet ends up being the guy who's gonna
just rotate
some more passes, because Walker, even though he did that last year more than we thought he would, he didn't do it at all in college. So in terms of who's got the actual like receiving back talent, maybe that is Charbonnet.
Yeah, so it would be. So it does become interesting here, in that. Yeah, it just sucks having to like. I mean, we can't put a pause on our wide receiver gets, right? That's and we still are thin at the wide receiver position, though, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing about Charbonnet is if we miss him, I think there are guys. Oh, there he goes.
There he goes. All right.
I think I was going to say, I think there are guys later who.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the same.
Something pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, look, like ultimately, look, this is. Well,
I think this is Burks, right?
This is Burks, easy.
Decent price for him. I mean, everything you're getting lately is a decent price for Burks, because I think he's fully healthy, right? Unless
he
I'm
is
something.
No, unless I'm missing something too. But yeah, I mean, like that was so like the team from 104 is building pretty well. I don't know if they're even in the stream. They must be, because I didn't know Charbonnet was really like on anybody's radar there. But like that's a Brian Robinson and Charbonnet were the two running backs. So I think, I mean,
that's like looks like one pick before where he's going. So that's about right.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe we need to be a little more coy with our targets.
maybe. I don't know, man. They gave us Breece Hall, right? What else do we need?
That's true.
Oh, there's one more guy who we can probably get. I'm adding him to the queue here. Hang on, what?
You're adding guys too.
Yeah.
This is excellent radio.
I know it really is. So I wanted to get your take on. Yeah, we're headed to the queue. We're just all, adding a whole bunch of junk. I wanted to get your thoughts on
Need like some background music while we add guys to the queue.
I know, right? R.I.P. Bob Barker. But I did want to get your take on Devin Singletary. This is probably way out of left field, but like he's someone I've been taking quite a bit, but I haven't really seen people talk about him. But like, what are we doing with Devin Singletary, right?
What are we doing with Singletary? I'm kind of out on him this year.
I've got so much of him. I don't even know how that happened.
I mean, part of it is just that I don't really expect that offense to be that good. And so, like I'm not drafting Dameon Pierce, but it's not because I think he's not going to be the guy. It's because I think that team might not score a lot of points. So that kind of has me down on Singletary too. But Singletary is a guy who's popped in a lot of our advanced metrics. Before tackle, after tackle stuff. So he probably, I do think that if you're drafting if you're kind of anticipating that Houston's going to be fine and somebody there is going to score some points at the running back position, Pierce and Singletary should probably be closer together.
Yeah. Oh, and here's the other one I wanted to ask about. So, like, are we like officially like is AJ Dillon like officially like dust, but people are just drafting him out of inertia? Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, man, that's a tough one too. I mean,
he's such a tough click now, especially after it came out that they were really in on JT. Just right. Such a tough click. He was a tough click anyway, where he was going like you wanted, like they were quarterbacks and tight ends and stuff. And I think I had like about 11% or 12%, and like it's just he's such a tough pick. This is the team. The team on one. Oh, that is peak FFPC, folks. So the team at 112 is really put together an interesting squad. They got Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Mike Williams, Christian Watson, Rashad White, Pat Fryermuth, David Njoku, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Warren, and their third wide receiver off the board in the 10th round, Nico Collins. That is just peak FFPC bullshit right there.
Well, that's one way to do it.
Yeah,
is it? It's a way to do something.
I mean, it's certainly a way to draft people, right? You get out there and you click on the board, but yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, it's interesting. Like, I just think that I like the optionality we got with getting Andrews where we did.
Yeah, for sure. It's easy. We kind of faced this a little bit not as much in the main event we're doing, but I've had this in a lot of FFPC drafts where you don't take an early tight end and then you get to the double-digit rounds and it's like, okay, how many of these names do I actually like? How many tight ends am I actually comfortable drafting here? Because, even though this season I think is a better season than basically we've ever had recently for late-round tight ends, I still think there are only a handful of guys that you can take and have any kind of confidence in their upside.
It's still such a mirage, though, because they're not going to come anywhere close to these guys.
I mean, that's probably true, but you never know. You get George Kittles every now and then and Darren Wallers every now and then.
Right, yeah, and it's just... yeah, I'm actually still a little frustrated with that losing on a Charbonnet there, but I think there's a couple. We have a couple of like backup, really good, strong backup players. And I'm sorry, this is making for really bad radio, but we've got some really good backup. And I was actually curious. I'm actually going to slide him up the top of the queue.
Let's see who it's going to be. Give me a hint, because it hasn't happened yet.
Oh, it hasn't happened yet. Okay, so I think we have one of two options, and it's either Antonio Gibson versus Rashad Penny, right?
Yeah, both of those guys are interesting. I think I would be happy with either. Gibson is a pretty good value here if he makes it back to us. The other guy who maybe we want to talk about, two guys actually, because of already having exposure to the Ravens, maybe it makes sense to look at one of Mostert or A-Chain.
Yeah, but I thought that like A-Chain should come back, right?
Yeah, his ADP is 10-11.
So there goes Tank Bigsby. So we are on the clock. So we're looking at either Penny or Gibson. Actually, I might prefer Gibson. I don't know, man.
Gibson is, I think Gibson's very unlikely to make it back to us. I think one of Penny or A-Chain has a decent chance to make it back. So,
yeah,
you want to do Gibson?
Yeah, that's a hang on. Let me check your ranks actually.
I have Gibson lower than either Penny or A-Chain, I think, but I don't have a strong.
Oh yeah, no, we've got both Penny and A-Chain higher than both of them, don't we?
I don't have strong convictions on Washington's offense. I think Robinson might be the way to play that. He was actually pretty good at catching passes last year.
Yeah, that's the issue, right? Brian Robinson was.
5 seconds. What do you think?
Let's go Penny.
Got it.
Yeah. Let's go Penny and hope for A-Chain, and if not Gibson. I think Gibson might just be. I think Brian Robinson might just be the guy. Yeah. There goes Gibson.
I was pretty sure Gibson wasn't going to get back. That's okay, but I do think that Robinson
might be probably the better way to pay that.
Might be a better pick. I mean, he played well last year, despite probably not being 100% the whole season.
Yeah,
he was a better pass catcher than people remember. And Gibson, despite being a wide receiver in college, has at times struggled with that. So I think there's a pretty good chance that Robinson kind of makes Gibson look like a really bad pick in this range.
Yeah, that's the thing. I really don't think they should be going back to back. I do like getting Penny there.
Why not Mostert? This is a good question.
This is a good question. We're hoping to get one of Mostert or Shane on the way back.
Yeah,
so we're really trying to push for either or, but that's a really good question.
I do think there's a decent chance A-Chain comes back, and although, I mean, I think you'd have to say that Mostert is more likely, certainly, to start the season as like the lead guy. It was encouraging the way the Dolphins used A-Chain in the preseason a little, kind of out wide catching passes sometimes, or lining up in the slot, kind of as a receiver. Not that he's going to, get a ton of targets that way with Waddle and Hill, but just that they're trying to use him in creative ways, put him in positions to win. Man, well, there goes A-Chain. We're going to look really dumb
he went?
Yeah, he went at 11:01.
Man, I stopped taking Mostert so much. I should regret not continuing to hammer him.
Well, I think we'll regret it if he doesn't come back too, because Penny might have.
Yeah, that's the thing. Penny might have, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a backup as a wide receiver if we miss out on everybody here, and then we can just be officially done at wide receiver at that point.
Yeah, probably. There are a couple. There's another running back that I have some interest in here. Just keep adding some guys to the queue. I would not be opposed to one more wide receiver.
Yeah, there's only one that I can think of that I want. Yeah. That's the only one.
Pirine was pretty.
Pirine is a good pick there. Yeah. Because then we can just go full hog on the running backs, man. But like, this is a pretty running back greedy room, more than I appreciate.
Yeah, right. I think we'll be in good position to get a guy you were talking up in our main event discussion, even though we weren't really in position to take him in that draft. But in this one, I think
this one we're definitely in position to take him.
I think we should be looking at that.
Yeah.
So Ezekiel Elliott at 1103. What's your take?
That's crazy to me, man. I mean, this is it's an interesting team because this is like Kelsey, Mahomes, Ridley, Aaron Jones, Javonte Williams, and then they just ripped off a bunch of wide receivers, like Trey McLaurin, Gabe Davis, Sky Moore, Elijah Moore, Michael Thomas, like all just structurally seems fine. Just from a player takes perspective, just not guys I want them. Joanna asked, why are RB runs called sizzlers? No, it's not. It's not that they call it sizzlers. It's sort of when you look at it in the context of what they were doing with that team, they went just
They were probably drafting from a sizzler.
Yeah, exactly. They just sort of went very old school RB heavy. There goes Marvin Mims. That's the guy I wanted.
Yeah.
That's painful. But yeah, so like they could have they actually started through 6. They had a phenomenal team, and they probably shouldn't have continued going down the running back path with Montgomery and Jonathan Taylor. But I think they're done at running back, if that makes sense. I like some of the art. Yeah, Berg, you're right. Those are all the guys that we're going to be looking at. It sucks that we lost out on Marvin Mims here. That's painful. That is so fucking painful. Like, because that's the guy who I would have wanted, right? Like, I think that's
one of the late wide receivers you can feel pretty confident.
Pretty good. Yeah, and
he should be going earlier than the 11th, probably.
Yeah, and it goes. This is going to be mustard, right?
I think it has to be.
It has to be.
I think getting him at this value on a Ravens team, getting that week 17 correlation.
Yeah, so that's so this team out of 104 definitely are our ideological brethren. They've been definitely drafting like it. And the Sam Laporta, like the Charbonnet, Laporta, Marvin Mims is just sort of like the icing on the cake. Thing. The reason I got like a feeling that they're in this is because we were discussing Charbonnet. But I mean, also just in a vacuum, Charbonnet is a perfectly good pick there. Yeah. Oh God, By the way, guys, just as an aside, the back is a very poorly designed mechanism, and the second it goes out on you, your life sucks.
Gotta make up for Hasan's pain by drafting the $1 million team here.
$1 million
to get it fixed.
Yeah. I'm really scared of looking at my medical bills. Thankfully, I'm insured, but what does that do?
Cool, $500K would go a long way.
It would go a long way. So where are you on Kendre Miller?
I like Miller. I'm in on Miller. I think maybe 12th is a little bit.
Oh no, I mean I think we can wait on him for quite. I mean, there's a lot of teams here with very, very, very plump RB rooms.
Yeah. I mean, Miller has a lot of things going for him. He was pretty productive in college. I believe he's one of the only backs in the class who averaged 100 scrimmage yards per game and had a 10% receiving yardage market share, which kind of that combination is something that's been like a threshold that we like to see.
It's so rare.
And then he's also only 21 years old, which is huge.
Yeah, but like the only downside is he seems to have a surgically repaired knee that just doesn't seem to be getting right. He seems to always be suffering some level of soft tissue injury. But I mean, I'm feeling pretty good about our squad right now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm feeling pretty happy. I know we still need one more wide receiver, and I think I know who I want it to be. But I don't know how many games I want to play, if that makes sense. Like, because I know you're not that big of a fan of Rashee Rice, but like, what about Mingo if we were to come back? But it's 12th too early for Mingo. Do we need to consider?
I'm not opposed to Rice or to Mingo. I like them both. They're both going in the 13th. But
right, yeah. So I was just gonna say we can wait. We still need another running back. I was kind of we did luck out a little bit with Mostert coming back to us right there.
Yeah.
So
also, here's what I'm thinking.
Also, FSU touchdown. No, did that count? I don't know. That might actually count. So I actually have FSU plus 1.5 and also FSU plus 2. So sweating this as well. This is
All
how
right.
we're fully back. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So the thing is, Mingo and Rice and Kendra Miller are all going in the 13th. So if
Yeah,
we
I'd
want to
much
get,
rather have. I'd much rather have. Do you guys want a TE2? Everett is kind of interesting. Yeah, Berg, we do want a
we do want a
TE2,
TV2.
but we're genuinely satisfied with pushing it because that was what we discussed was if we took Andrews up there, we're gonna have to just truly keep pushing it, and we're at a deficit at running back. Had other teams been a little bit more wide receiver greedy, or had we gotten a few more of our running back targets, we would have definitely been on TE2 around these parts, or had we gotten one of Swift, Khalil Herbert, or Charbonnet, right? We would have been a little bit happier. But so I think we still need to cobble together some more running back. We still need to put together some upside, either upside of the running back position or have guys who we need. Because there's still a handful of guys we can get much later that I know Blair likes that we can just sort of put in way at the back. So it's not an issue.
Yeah, that's true. I do think that Everett is pretty interesting, and like you say, tight ends are going early
Yeah.
uh, to a lot of teams in this one. So, yeah, he's definitely in consideration here. If you're drafting a team and you don't get one of these elite guys, I think Everett in the 12th is a good idea. I think there are probably some targets in this range that we like better than Everett, and there are some late tight ends that I actually probably even might
Yeah.
like better than Everett. But
Yeah, for us, we just don't need a tight end just yet, if that makes sense. But yeah, you're right about DEs going early. That's actually a pretty aggressive price there in Jake Ferguson. His price has been really wide, man.
I don't understand that. Kenny Pickett
So
in the 12th.
that's ridiculous,
I
dude.
mean,
I was telling
fine.
people to take him when he was QB 25. Like, this is a bit much.
He went in the 10th in a draft I did with Sean and Colin
Jeez,
the other
man.
day, and Sean was saying something like, "I don't even think that's bad value on Pickett."
Yeah,
But
well, I mean, if
it
Sean's
is,
right, dude, if Sean's right, I might be getting rich.
yeah, that's probably true. Although, I mean, you do have to kind of consider the opportunity cost there.
Yeah. Let me check a queue here. I want to make sure there's not someone I missed.
All right, on the
No, we're on the
clock.
clock.
So if you
Elijah
want to
Mitchell
get one
go.
of Rice or Mingo, I think we should do it with this pick.
Yeah, but do we really think? Well,
Because I think we'll want to take a running back
yeah, on the way back,
on
right?
the way back.
I think this is it.
We could also consider Tajay Spears here if you have any interest in him.
Um, I'll leave that. I don't think I want Rice. I think the question is Tajay Spears versus Mingo. Right? And if we take Mingo, then we're done officially at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Right?
I
I
mean, I
think
think there are some later wide receivers that I also like. So I wouldn't be
yeah.
opposed to going running back here.
I think going running back is the play, dude. I think running back's the
All
play.
right.
You want to go? You want to Spears?
Yeah, let's get Spears.
Yeah, so Spears. Yeah, Spears is awesome. Yeah, Berg, we agree. We're really hoping that Tennessee does actually start using him as a breather back. Yep, there goes Jared Everett. So you were right about Everett there.
Yeah.
Good call. But I just think that, I mean, we can afford to push wide receiver for a bit, right? Like, we're not. I mean,
honestly, probably like I've seen Rice fall to like the 15th. Wide receivers are going pretty late in this room. I've seen
yeah,
Mingo fall.
that was the other one I was gonna say. I knew that team was gonna take Roshan Johnson.
Roshan,
I knew exactly who they're gonna take now. I mean, it's bad to be as transparent as they are, but like, in a sense, but like,
They're good
who
picks.
you're up against. They're good
Yeah.
picks. But yeah, I think us getting Treylon Burks where we did, I can see a lot of late. Yeah, exactly, Berg. We that's the whole thing. There's like quite a few TEs that we can see in TE Prem that just set us up nice, and just having Andrews, just walk you guys through the logic on the build. There was having Andrews and Lamar means that we don't necessarily need to be considering these guys in that entire, round 6 through 15 range, right? Where you can talk yourself into an upside case. because we don't want it. We don't have to think about that upside case. Like really, we're taking Andrews there. We're hoping for him. Gainwell was a good pick. We're hoping Andrews is going to be a mid first round pick in FFPC drafts next year, and so that's where we're playing into that.
I think you could make a convincing case for Andrews in the first this year.
If you can, but people are going to be too scared after what happened last year with the Ravens, right? So
yeah,
that tried, right?
Yeah, well, I think his case for Andrews is pretty good, and I mean,
yeah,
when you're taking, I don't know, Nick Chubb in the first, I think that you could be doing better with Andrews.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like that's sort of where we didn't expect Andrews to get to us.
Yeah.
It changed a lot of it because we were as like to give you guys peel back the curtain a little bit. Our original plan was Monroe St. Brown, Jalen Waddle.
There goes
That
Mingo.
was our plan. There goes Mingo. It's fine. I think I know exactly who I want the next pick anyway. That's a running back.
Yeah, gotta get Hasan's guy. Hopefully nobody
I don't really have if this guy doesn't pan out, I'm gonna be fucking broke. So it's
we're in what are we in, like the 15th or 16th round in the main event? It seems like every round before this guy went, from like the 9th on, Hasan was,
I was just like, how about this guy? And everyone's like, what? Like, bro, what's going on?
And we didn't end up taking him because that was a different build, and we didn't really need a running back there. But hopefully he'll make it back to us here because he would be perfect on this team.
Yeah, I'm looking at that team right now. That's a very interesting. Where did we get Benny on this one? RB. So we got him a little bit later in the main event.
Yeah, he was a crazy value in the main event. We did.
Yeah, but in the main, also the team next to us also picked. This is before it even came out. Was Jeff Wilson before he went on IR.
Yeah.
I mean, the other there's one really good late round, like one really, really good tight end. I have a lot of Berg. I have a lot of Andrews everywhere else. So I'm just hoping that he is the man that can help us out. But hang on. There's one guy who I'm going to add to our queue here somewhere so that we can just at some point, if we get to him, if there's no saying that we need to, but if we need to, I just added a tight end. That sucks. That's who we wanted.
Oh, that's too bad.
Was that an auto draft? No, that's not an auto draft. So this guy handcuffed Alvin Kamara with Kendra Miller, huh?
Wow.
So
notice that.
So this is an interesting team out of the 1 or 2. They have Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, Derrick Henry, DeAndre Hopkins, Joe Burrow. Alvin Kamara was their RB1, so he's not going to play for the first 4 weeks,
RB2.
right?
They have
RB.
Henry.
Oh yeah, RB. Yeah. Oh, whoops. RB2, Evan Ingram, then Brandon Cooks, then Brian Robinson, good pick. Romeo Dubs, good pick. B. Ryan, good pick. Mingo, good pick. Then Kendra Miller, good pick. Those are all pretty solid. That's a pretty solid run.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that team. I mean, a lot of running backs for having taken Henry that early and not really gotten the wide receiver depth that we like to get on our teams, but you can see the logic, I guess, to this team.
Yeah, and I think the question really is,
not even that. I just like the guys that they picked.
Yeah, all those guys in a vacuum are just, even when you combine them, right? Like that's a pretty fucking good team.
Like Henry, I'm not drafting. Hopkins, I'm not drafting. Kamara, I'm not drafting. Cooks, I'm not drafting. But other than that,
right? Yeah, and then you just get there.
I like the other half of the team.
Yeah. Are there any other running backs that we want to consider here at all?
Yes, there is one that I'll add to the queue now.
Who?
Chuba.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say if it's Chuba, let's just take him because I'm very in on Chuba. He's been like such a go-to like final round click for me. I think Miles Sanders isn't gonna that's the guy who I loaded up into our queue.
Tight end we were talking about.
Yeah.
Chuba is pretty interesting here. Rashee Rice still on the board is slight value. I think it's between those two.
I think we should take Chuba. I think just because I think Chuba is going to actually see action pretty early.
All right, I'm happy with Chuba. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, you did have some good actually. So a little spoiler alert: we do have Rashid Rice on our main event team. There was actually a little bit of consternation between the five of us, and Blair and I had a good discussion on why he's shading away from Rice. So do you want to actually give the people like a good Rice bearish like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be too bearish on Rice because I can definitely see him exploding. He's got crazy athleticism, to the point where, well, at least explosion to the point where he's like arguably open on every play. And with a guy like Mahomes throwing him the ball, that could really work out. But yeah, he was a 4-year player out of a small school, which, I mean, sometimes the small school guys who are 4-year players work out just because they didn't, have that exposure. But SMU is not that small of a school. So we're still talking about a 4-year guy who kind of questionable production for most of his college career. And I think the latest news on him kind of has really kind of soured me on him. I mean, Sky Moore is a guy who was pretty bad last year, and to hear that he's running ahead of Rashee Rice, even though I was all into Sky Moore last year, and I was way more excited about Sky Moore than I am now about Rice, and we saw what happened with that. But to see kind of that Rice might be a little bit lower in the totem pole already is discouraging. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to say I'm definitely out on Rice. I do like Rice, and I'm happy to draft him here. I'm happy to take him even in the 12th or something on the right team, or maybe even earlier. I don't know, but I do see a lot of downside there.
Yeah, Jaden Reed is an interesting other rookie that we could think about.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the whole thing with Rashid Rice, what makes it interesting, or at least his downside scenario, also, as we were discussing a little bit. To give you guys an idea of where we're at with this, it was Rashid Rice versus Aaron Rodgers was the pick. Somehow we got both. but the idea here is that like there's so many clone guys on KC that they all kind of do the same shit. Kadarius Toney, DeMarcus Valdes-Scantling, Richie James, Rashid Rice, Sky Moore to an extent, right? They're all kind of the same dude, right? Into where when you start seeing these guys start running, 30 to 45% of the routes all at the same time, then all of a sudden you're left with a bunch of guys who are just absolutely not worth it for fantasy, right? Like, and that's where it makes interesting. Anyway, it doesn't matter; it's a moot point because Rashid Rice goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting discussion to have because we know KC has zero qualms with really rotating their wide receivers in and out the way they do. They tend to be comfortable having guys who have snap shares route shares of 35% of the overall total. The only one being the only constant really being Kelsey, and then they just rotate guys around him.
Yeah.
Speaking of wide receivers, did Kadarius Toney go? Yeah, he went a while ago.
Went in the 9th.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Tony's, I mean, that's, it sounds like the latest is he's going to be fully healthy. You're going to play in week 1. So, when there was more uncertainty about his situation, then it was easier to make a case for Rice. And now
that's a tough one, right?
If Tony's definitely ahead of Rice and is fully healthy, then, I mean, the other thing is this is a league with waivers.
Yeah.
Rice is a really good candidate to be dropped early.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, he's a very early candidate. Yeah. I was gonna say, do we want to go running? Are we considering running back here again? There's one who I'm really interested in here.
I think that there are a few running backs on the board that are interesting, and one wide receiver who I like here.
Oh, there's one wide receiver. Who's the wideout that you like?
Hyatt.
Oh yeah, Jalen Hyatt. No interest in $1? Wandale,
but not here.
Well, not here, right?
Yeah, I mean Wandale in the 18th or something.
So what really has you in on Hyatt? Because I can just not understand any of these like Giants receivers.
Well, never mind.
Oh, never mind. There he just went. All right, so
yeah, I mean Hyatt was a guy that we were really high on before the draft, and he kind of slipped a little bit. He's got the speed. He's a 3-year player, true early declare.
that's a good one.
He was productive in his final season at Tennessee, and really efficient. One of the most efficient receivers in the league. So I think I'm still on the Hyatt train. He's also looked good in preseason. All right, we got a pick.
Do you think we just go Sean Tucker here? Because that team at 104 is going to take Sean Tucker if we don't take him.
You think?
Yeah, I think they will.
Pretty early for Tucker.
I know it is.
Where's he going? He's going in the 17th. I think we can wait on
All right, you think we can wait? Okay.
I think it's Ty Chandler. He's going right around here.
Ty Chandler's a good one.
Or we could go. I don't have a clip, but we could go Ave Maria.
I know we could go Ave Maria. I do like Ty Chandler here.
All right, let's do Chandler. I like him too.
Yeah. Probably should have just gone Ave Maria, but let's hope he comes back.
It's not as good without the clip.
I know, it really isn't. Like, I actually had to go watch it myself yesterday. We were just discussing it.
Just made because the clip and somehow I don't have a copy uploaded.
I know, and like I saw like other people like stealing it from the ship chasing like YouTube and blasting it off on their own on Twitter. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Like some guy with like 3,500 followers was like, "Hey, I made this," and I was like, "Hey, you also follow 7,000 people." Like,
man.
It looks like Florida State is doing pretty well here against LSU. So
Kyron Williams.
That's So someone explained to me like I've seen a lot of Kyron going of late, and I just don't understand what's happening. Oh, Dank Dell, that's an interesting off the board pick. So Kyron Williams is the first non-Viz pick from that team from 105 on a 104, right? So.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, he actually was a guy that I liked as a rookie coming out, and then obviously did nothing. But some of the latest news seems to be going in his favor. Like Zach Evans is maybe playing behind him.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're not a Cam Akers believer, which I'm increasingly not, then one of these backup Rams running backs looks pretty intriguing. And maybe it's Kyron.
But you don't think they're gonna bring in like Leonard Fournette or some shit?
Oh my gosh, yeah, they would,
right? Like, because they did the Sony Michel shit.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Deuce Vaughn was another guy.
Deuce Vaughn, like I don't know who's taller, my 3-year-old or Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn, like obviously, not every small running back out of Kansas State is going to be Darren Sproles, but Deuce Vaughn looks a lot like Darren Sproles.
But he's not the same level of athleticism, man. Sproles was insanely fucking jacked.
I don't know. Have you seen these clips of Deuce Vaughn?
I have. He looks like a child.
Yeah, really fast one.
Yeah, I know, but like still a child. He's like,
touch him.
I know, he's 5'4". No one could touch Tariq Cohen too until they did.
Hey, I heard Cohen might be coming back. He's looking.
He might be. Yeah,
interesting.
He had a pretty sad story. Like he had a pretty like really emotional like write up on the Athletic Tribune.
Right.
So hopefully all's good with him. No, it's just I don't know, man. Like he's so small, dude. Like it's a real question. Like, is my 3-year-old Deuce is yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm with you, dude. Like I want these guys to succeed. I want these guys to succeed, but like at the same time, I just know how difficult it was for Sproles to succeed. And even a guy like even a guy like Eckler, like I mean, Lindsey didn't make it, you know what I mean? And Lindsey was a phenom in his rookie year.
Lindsey had 2,000-yard seasons. I'd be happy with that from Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah.
Man, good value on Tucker there. And it was team.
Yeah, that's just them flaunting.
He might have the clip.
Yeah, he might have the clip. They're probably watching it right now. Damn, that
He
sucks.
probably stole the clip and is watching it.
I know.
Jerk.
Damn, that sucks. We're out of ideas.
Well, we got ideas.
Well, I mean, we're not. There goes Singletary. We're not really out of ideas, but like,
You could argue that at this point, ADP kind of goes out the window,
it
and we
does,
just have to
right?
get our guys.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's.
we can do Sean Tucker here 2 rounds early. Jaden Reed is kind of a value.
I kind of think Jaden Reed, and then we can see if we can get Tucker coming back.
Yeah, you were mentioning Reed in the main event draft too, right? So
Yeah. The
you kind of
thing,
like him.
the thing that I kind of like the most out of everything is I don't know, man. Jaden Reed would be fine here. Is that
I thought we had decided. Yeah,
yeah no
convince me on Jaden Reed because I'm
so
little-
Jaden Reed is actually kind of easy, right? Like like it's still a fairly wide open depth chart,
Mhm.
right? Like we know it's Dubs, we know it's Christian Watson. I'm not so sure on Luke Musgrave, right? Like, I'm not so sure about Luke Musgrave. Watson's missed time. Dubs also, when he was like called on to be like the main guy, didn't exactly like kill it. Like, you know what I mean? Like
That's true.
there's like no real like. It's not like he suddenly showed up and was like, I'm gonna ball out for 30 points a game. It was like, I'm gonna show up and ball out for 11.2 points a game, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just so and there's enough decent draft draft capital behind Reed. He's kind of one of those athletic freaks that like you're okay taking a stab on him.
Yeah.
One thing I do like about Sean Tucker at least is that like he's not even the DraftKings player pool.
Is that right?
Like, you can't fucking draft him. Like I've tried. Like it's just one of those interesting things where I'm hopeful that we get a bite at him just because like there's a lot of like literature on him, but there's like not a lot of like a confirmation that he's a real person in these drafts. If that makes sense.
Tucker's a really interesting guy. I think in Sean's in the 0 RB watch list that he put out, he mentioned that if Tucker had come out a year earlier,
Yeah,
like we'd already have him ranked ahead of Rashad White. Like he was that
yeah,
good
he was
of a prospect after 3 years.
And
And
now
he was
the
still
issue is
good
his
last. He was
heart.
still good last year too, but it's
Yeah,
definitely a much more difficult case.
but it's his heart, right? Like he has like actual like
Oh,
health
is that right?
concerns. Yeah, it's his heart.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Interesting. Jaden Reed, true freshman breakout at the age of 18.6 with a 33% dominator rating at Western Michigan. Can you guess what calendar year that was?
That was Jaden Reed. This would be 2019.
2018.
I was so close. I knew it was 2018. Damn. Yeah, he's an
pretty
old boy, man. He's an old boy. That's the issue.
Right.
But like the other issue is that it's like COVID kind of screwed things up, right?
Yeah.
Like it
And
had
he also
people
transferred.
Yeah, exactly. Transfer plus COVID. I mean, the big issue with COVID was it had people thinking Trey Lance was good, right? That's. I'm never gonna let people live that one down, man. But yeah, it's just interesting. I'm trying to get Tucker in every draft. White was so bad last year. Yeah, Tucker has the opportunity to take over, and Tucker is very talented. Yes, sir. That's we're really hoping that the room will gift us Tucker here.
I agree with that.
Because we were in the fuck around part, and we were hoping not to find out.
Scroll down a little.
Yeah, if you don't mind scrolling down. For defense, there's only one that I'm really thinking of, or at least the only one that I've got a thesis on, is Washington, just because they face
Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, they went like pretty early in our main. Like they went, I think, in the 15th or something in our main, after a bunch of really bad like defensive picks. So like I think we just attack Arizona when we can. It just sucks losing Justin Tucker there like that, man.
That would have been
it just sucks losing him. But like on the other side, hang on, let me see what we've got here from our friend Ben stealing signals.
hasn't updated yet.
some DSD thoughts, blah blah blah. Right, you just need the kicker stuff, right? Like,
so yeah, I don't think I'd be taking a defense in the 16th when we have some other skill players.
yeah, I mean, we
we
do just want Tucker here. Like, that's who we're just sort of hoping out for. Some of these teams really would be doing themselves a disservice
literally the
picking
only guy in
Tucker.
our queue right now.
Yeah, I mean, some of these teams are going to be doing themselves a disservice not taking wide receivers. So
I think we could consider a QB too. So I'm gonna
you think a second quarterback?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. We don't.
I'm not opposed to it either.
We don't have to, but I'm putting some names in the queue.
Oh, I mean, there's one really important name that I think we could potentially we should consider in terms of QB. Oh, there goes Aaron Rodgers. That's really crazy late for him.
It is late.
Oh, right. Well, there we go. We got Sean Tucker. So
all right. So Tucker here, we don't want to lose him. So let's get him, and then we can start talking about
quarterbacks
and QB
tight end twos. Yeah. So for full reference, we took Aaron Rodgers as our first quarterback in the main event for his quarterback 18. Over here, he goes as quarterback 20. We did take Sam Howell over Russ Wilson. I'm happy with that as a moonshot, right? So I am curious what we want to do with the quarterback too.
Obviously, you can get away with leaving this draft with only one quarterback,
right?
So it's not a must.
No.
But if there's an interesting guy who you think is going to perform well to start the season, here's a guy I do actually have some interest in. We now have 6 running backs, but the name I really want to root for.
Evan Hull?
No. You'll never guess.
Oh my God.
Not that guy.
I was going to say that misclick. Blair added someone called Jaleel McLaughlin.
No, that wasn't a misclick. That's the guy.
What is a Jaleel McLaughlin? Is he even on the roster?
Yeah, he's on the Broncos. He made the 53-man roster. He is a really old prospect out of oh man, I even forgot in this college. Is it Youngstown State? That's it. 91% backfield dominator rating. He had 1,500 yards last year, 300 receiving yards. Obviously he didn't get into the combine or anything, so I don't have athletic measurables for him off the top of my head. But yeah, basically half of Youngstown State's offense, which you would hope to see when you're talking about a Youngstown State guy. But did actually make the Broncos. We're talking about a Philip Lindsay reincarnate. He's small too. He's really small.
Oh God damn it! No interest in this.
What?
Let
me see if we have him in the Workout Explorer. He's a small guy, but he's also old. Think about that.
That sounded the worst of all worlds. So someone took Leonard Fournette.
Someone took Jeff Wilson. I guess in the 17th. That's not terrible. He might only miss 4 games, right?
Yeah, that's what they're saying. But I mean, he's also a plotter, and the risk of re-injury is pretty high. So what are we thinking here? This would be a QB2 spot, right?
Yeah, we could do QB here. We could do. Oh my gosh, did Howell already go? Did I completely miss that?
Yeah,
Howell the 15th.
It went much earlier, right? So I think we could consider kicker as well, but
yeah, we could.
But we can wait. I don't necessarily know. We don't necessarily have to be aggressive on kicker.
Definitely not. At a certain point, the names become unrecognizable, but it's not that big.
Do you want to go Michael Mayer though? Because I know you're fairly bullish on him, and I'm fairly bearish on him. But this is the time where I think you do just take that swing. right? Because
Yeah,
like this is.
this is a good spot for Mayer. I think we could also go Brock Purdy, stack him
Oh,
with
I think we
Debo.
could. Oh God, I think we could go Purdy, shouldn't we?
I'd be good with
That's.
either of those picks.
Yeah, I think we should go Purdy.
All right. I know
Yeah, because
you're
I think
not as enthusiastic about
Mir comes back. That's what I was gonna say. I
Michael
think Mir
Mayer.
comes back. I think
Yeah,
Mir comes back. I mean, even if he doesn't, then we've got Trey McBride,
right.
right?
Right. We've got McBride. We've got I don't know, are you completely out on Gesicki?
No. Well, he's gonna ruin me again. But I had way too much Gesicki before he got hurt
Yeah,
again.
there goes Mayer. Yeah,
There goes Mir.
that's about right where he's going.
Well, yeah, but that's also kind of a. I mean, you scroll up. Let's look at this team, right? The team that Michael Mayer.
Hold on a sec.
So, like, this is a team with no identity, right? Like, this is a really interesting off the reservation ish team, right? You got Bijan, Devontae Adams, Jaron Waller, Damian Pierce, Alexander Madison, George Pickens, Michael Pittman, Cortland Sutton, Dak Prescott, Jamal Williams, Jake Ferguson, Kenny Pickett, Darnell Mooney, Jalen Hyatt, Jace Brown, Aaron Rodgers, Michael Mayer, right? So you have 3 quarterbacks, right?
Only one of them stacked.
Only one of them is stacked, right? 2
Oh, wait.
reaches in Damian Pierce and Alexander Madison,
Yeah.
right? And then some questionable wide receiver picks, right? Like it's just, and then also
I
a
do
a
like Hyatt
reach
and
on
Chase Brown.
Ferguson. Yeah, Hyatt, Chase Brown, but like 3 quarterbacks is a bit much.
Yeah.
Especially in a league with waivers. And then also what makes it interesting is I missed the fact that they had Darren Waller, so they've also taken three tight ends, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at a team that's like I don't like they going best player available. I don't know what they're doing. But it is interesting. I think this, Evan McPherson, there he goes. This is the one where it gets tough, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of hoping Justin Ross would get back to us.
I
Pretty
mean,
interesting.
Justin Ross is also another guy that just I don't like. You just don't know with any of these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. All right. We don't need a QB. Get out of here.
The CEH is actually kind of an interesting pick there.
I have a guy that I'll kind of pound the table for if he makes it back.
Oh, I mean, I'm all for hearing it. I've got no one. You're gonna have no pushback from me. I can promise you that.
It's not going to be very strong, very loud pounding.
It's all good.
So, 3 more picks. We still need a kicker and a defense. We have 7 wide receivers. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 1 tight end. We could, I think, go wide receiver or tight end with this next pick.
I think we should go tight end, don't you think? Because then we go defense kicker to round out.
Yeah. We're probably thinking of the same guy then.
Yeah. Trey McBride.
Yep. If he gets here.
He should be getting here.
Yeah, he's going in the 19th, but I've seen him go as early as the 15th in some drafts.
I mean, at this point, there's no unless there's no reason for us to.
ADP doesn't matter as much here.
Yeah, because we could potentially consider taking our defense here, right? But like the question is, what do we want to do at K, right? Like Justin Tucker's like. I mean, kicker is kind of the important one, right? Like kicker and defense, but like realistically, I'd rather get McBride. I want that upside. I really think that he is someone who we should be considering. The thing that got me scared, that really still has me scared, is all these teams without Kyler Murray, and like Murray might come if he comes back and he's healthy, right? That's gonna change the entire redraft pool, entirely, or any teams that have him, right?
For sure. Speaking of which, he's still on the board.
Exactly. That's what I was saying, is that like there's a lot of doom and gloom, right? But then on the flip side is, if he really is truly done, then it's over. Also, this team really is running on the clock forever. Oh, never mind. It's a good Chris Evans pick.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. This is Trey McBride time.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go kicker or defense here.
No, we can just take him at the
Figure it
end.
out later. All right,
Yeah.
McBride, welcome to the squad.
And McBride wasn't necessarily coming on, but like at the same time, like there's enough. I don't know. It seems like a open enough receiver room that I do want McBride.
Yeah. You had a strong defensive take on that team, so we'll put them at the top.
Yeah, but that's the only one for now, right? Now it's just a matter of what happens next, and then it's going to be like a flurry of kickers. I almost wonder if it makes more sense for us to consider going kicker first and then defense because of how many teams have defenses.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you know who Cameron Dicker is? Did he play last year?
I have heard the name.
Well, that's a plus.
Yeah,
I guess
so
I just never remember who the Chargers kicker is. Somebody named Cameron Dicker.
because they just go through them, man. They're just like,
Yeah.
Let's see, Alec Pierce. The team. I mean, that team, our ideological brethren out of the 104, are still drafting pretty well, all things considered. Drafting Andy, Alex Pierce. That's pretty nice.
Yeah. Let me scroll up a little bit.
This is the worst part because we're just waiting on some of these guys to get it together. Do you have a Calvin Austin take at all? Because I do not.
I don't really have a take on Calvin Austin. I don't think he's gonna be able to get much volume. He's obviously really fast, but
yeah, he's not gonna be a thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think he needs a lot of injuries to turn into a thing, and even then, at wide receiver, even if there are injuries ahead of you, you don't necessarily become a thing because it's not like at running back where you're taking over a big workload. You get moved up in kind of the chain of targets, but you're still competing with other guys. So so injuries do not have the same impact at wide receiver that they do at running back. So I mean, this is a big reason why zero running back is so effective because these late round guys, when they do get a shot, when there is an injury in front of them, they hit in a big way.
Yeah, and you just aren't going to find that same kind of way out at the wide receiver spot at all or tight end spot. It just doesn't happen often.
What do you think of Rashid Shaheed going in the 19th there?
That's just a supreme value for whoever got him.
We're talking about the most efficient rookie wide receiver in the NFL last year.
Oh, there goes Washington. That sucks.
Yeah, that's a bummer. All right, you have any other defense takes?
No. Maybe we should prioritize kicker.
We just take a kicker.
What do you think about Jason Myers?
Pull up. Yeah, Myers is fine.
Or Jake Elliott.
Elliott is good. Sanders, I think.
Yeah, let me go to the schedule now.
Makes sense.
That sucks.
Depending on how bullish you are on Atlanta, maybe Ngweku.
Oh, I have no interest in him.
Okay. Maybe Carlson by ADP, but Las Vegas could just be terrible.
I have no interest in Carlson by ADP.
Greg Joseph, maybe kicking in a dome. Minnesota.
And their first game is against the Bucks
at home. You know what? Minnesota defense isn't that bad either.
Yeah, because I think.
All right. Well, we're up. What are you thinking? You want to do kicker?
Yeah, I think we do kicker. Elliott would be fine.
The guy that we would expect to score the most points, right? Or at least he's on the highest powered offense. right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna do Elliott.
Yeah, should do Elliott.
All right, and then defense. I think Minnesota maybe is interesting. Did Chicago go yet? They're playing Green Bay at home.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Denver at home against Las Vegas.
But do we really think he's going to be that bad, like Jimmy G?
Yeah, maybe not. Probably won't throw enough.
Yeah. By the way, Florida
Also,
State absolutely murdered LSU.
oh, nice.
Absolutely murdered them.
Is Atlanta still around? They're playing. They're playing Bryce Young.
Oh,
They are. They get Bryce Young in Atlanta.
well,
Baltimore obviously is gone already, but they play Houston.
that's the easy one.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City's at the top of the ADP. They play on Thursday night
Yeah, against
against
the
Detroit.
Lions.
You could see Goff throwing quite a few interceptions if the Chiefs get up by a bunch of touchdowns, but I kind of think the Lions might be able to keep that game competitive.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit more competitive than we expect. Hang on. I'm trying to think about like the Niners are long gone, right?
Yeah, what is they're at Pittsburgh. They're probably gone. Yeah, they're gone. We'll have to see who's still there when we get back. But I mean, I think Atlanta's pretty interesting.
I think I could go with Atlanta.
I think Minnesota's pretty interesting as well.
Minnesota's an interesting one too.
Against Tampa Bay at home.
Yeah, I do like the idea of the Falcons though against the rookie quarterback, right?
Yeah,
Bryce Young, just because he is so. He's also short. did you see the video of him? There goes Casey. What are these teams with like two defense? Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, that doesn't make much sense.
Anyway,
they also play Green Bay in week 2. That could be.
But then, I mean, the Niners have better. They have a better. Anyway, we're on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I think Atlanta's okay. I'm just looking at Minnesota in week 2. They're on the road against Philadelphia. So
yeah, no interest there.
Atlanta, we could probably play for 2 weeks.
Yeah, let's go with Atlanta.
Let's do it. All right, there we go.
That's that. Do you want to recap the team?
I do. So, Fantasy Pros Championship team. At quarterback, we have Lamar Jackson, Brock Purdy. Running back, Breece Hall, Rashad Penny, Raheem Mostert, Tyjae Spears, Chuba Hubbard, Ty Chandler, Sean Tucker. Wow, that's more running backs than I remember taking.
We took quite a few, dude.
Yeah. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Deebo Samuel, Chris Godwin, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Quentin Johnson, Traylon Burks, Jaden Reed. Tight end, we have Mark Andrews, Trey McBride, Jake Elliott at kicker, and Atlanta. Team defense. We will be dropping probably in week 3.
Yeah, but this is where the issue for us is in that we ran out of receiver talent that we wanted.
That's true. I mean, I think looking back at this, we maybe could have gone Rashee Rice instead of Chuba.
I kind of still like Chuba there. I know Sanders is working through some stuff. If he aggravates something, then we've got a spot starter. Like realistically, we're here. Like we're cobbling spot starts together until we can like truly not care.
Yeah.
Right. We're just trying to like Ben's hot take was that like Breece Hall is gonna thank you, Berg. Is gonna carry everyone home after week 8, and we're optimistic it might be earlier, right?
Yeah.
Just as a modified anchor RB team, right? Like if we're right on Breeze, like we're gonna be
anchor in the 5th.
Right? Yeah, we're gonna be
nice.
running the table, right? So this is an interesting squad. I'm glad that you were able to put this together for us. Any other thoughts about where you'd like to see this go?
This team?
Yeah, because I mean we're
$1
4
million?
weeks. Yeah.
No, I'm really happy with this team. Getting Brees Hall in the 5th is crazy. It's amazing value on him. I think he should probably be going in the 2nd round, if we're being honest.
Yeah. He is practicing. But yeah, I mean, I know it's been a long off season with drafting, lots of twists and turns. And now these star running backs, how to play them has really plunged the entire season into uncertainty. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I'm still powering through. I've still got about another 50 teams left to get finished drafted in terms of best ball. It's tough. It's been a really fun off season with everybody, and we're almost there. We're gonna have a fun season, guys.
Definitely.
And we're here. We're gonna be here every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Feel free to come tilt the games with us, tilt the week with us. Come talk to us about your teams. Thank you, the Achievers. We're here. There's no. This is where you guys are gonna come out on Sunday night, and you're gonna bring your beers, and we're gonna have a good time just chatting football, watching the games, giving some reactions, just talking through what we've digested, and trying to get. We're all gonna try and get smart together and get good together, and we're just gonna have another good season.
Absolutely. Well said. Yeah, don't listen to the intro or outro, which say we'll be back at 7 p.m. because it's going to be 9 p.m. Sunday nights this season. You didn't really want to watch Sunday Night Football anyway, or you can watch it along with us.
Or think of it this way: this is your own personal bar at home. You can bring your drinks and saddle on up, and we can have a good time.
You have the Fantasy Football Report on your laptop, Sunday Night Football on the TV, muted. There you go. What could be better? If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, rate and review. Really appreciate that. Helps us with the algorithm. And yeah, we'll talk at you next week.
Good luck with all your drafts. Blast push, boys. Let's go.